Hi there, I am the Reverend Danny Crosby, a Unitarian minister serving congregations in Altrincham and in Urmston in the northwest of England, and I offer this devotion as a balm for the heart, for the mind, for the spirit, and for the soul. And it's titled Coming Home to Love, a Mothering Sunday Reflection. Mother's Day or Mothering Sunday has a long history. It dates back to the time of ancient Greece and Rome, where mothers were honoured and festivals were made in their name. It is not merely, as some cynically suggest, a creation of the greeting cards company to make money out of us. The celebration of mother and of motherhood has been with us for many centuries. In the United Kingdom, Mothering Sunday was about returning home either to family or to Mother Church. These days, Mothering Sunday has become known as Mother's Day. Following the American tradition, this is actually celebrated in May and not the middle Sunday of Lent as it is in this country. Interestingly, though, this Mother's Day was as much about returning and bringing healing and wholeness as the original Mothering Sunday was. The original Mother's Day, the American version, was first organised in 1868 as a way to bring families together, families that had been torn apart by the American Civil War. 4 years later, Julia Ward Howe, an important Unitarian activist actually, and author of the Battle Hymn of the Republic, attempted to set June the 2nd aside as a day when mothers would especially pray that war may not come to slay any mother's son. But the idea did not take hold, though, and soon the tradition slipped away. Then in May of 1907, the daughter of Anna Reeves Jarvis began the Mother's Day, which is celebrated in the USA today. Her intention was that it was to be religious and personal, a day when Americans would attend church and wear a red carnation if their mother were alive and a white flower if deceased. President Woodrow Wilson added a patriotic flavour to it in 1914 when he signed a congressional resolution establishing the second Sunday of May for displaying the American flag as a public expression of our love and reverence for the mothers of our country. But very different to Mothering Sunday in this country. So there was always a sense of a celebration of something more than just our own mothers in Mother's Day, whether that be the Mother Church or the Motherland. There was always a sense of belonging to something greater than our individual selves and even our biological families in the concept of Mother's Day. But Mothering Sunday or Mother's Day, whatever its actual true origins, is enshrined in this image of returning home and this sense of belonging to something more than ourselves, whether that is actually children of returning to their family home, having been working away, or of people returning to their mother church. Either way, it's about returning home to a place of safety. It's about returning home to a place of renewal, a place of rebirth, not only for ourselves, but for others too. It's about returning to a place of love and total acceptance of who we are, exactly as we are, no matter what we have done or where we have been. We are accepted with loving, open arms. We can begin again in love, just as those original understanding of Mothering Sunday was all about. Now, the image of returning to a place of love and acceptance brings to mind actually some words that are some very well known words attributed to the Sufi mystic Rumi. Whether he wrote them himself or not, I don't know. It's something I sing a version of it in the singing meditation, although actually the most important line is not sung. These are the words as they have been translated and passed down over the centuries. The words of Rumi. or attributed to really. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving, it doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Come yet again. Come, come. The key are the words that we don't sing actually. It doesn't matter. Even if you have broken your vows 1,000 times. When we return home to the loving arms of our idealized mothers, we are returning to a place of total acceptance. It doesn't matter where we have been or what we have done. The love is there, the total acceptance is there. Now, for me, this is the ideal of religious community, and I suspect it's also what that kingdom of love would eventually look like, what the commonwealth of love might actually be like. It is the prodigal son or the prodigal daughter returning to the loving arms of their beloved community, their mother, their father, their mother community, if you like, totally accepted, and as they are ready to begin again in love. We accept them back. They return to love, in love. Or at least I think that's what's at the heart of it. Brings to mind some beautiful words of prayer, a redemptive prayer I heard many years ago, and something that I love to say with others actually. It goes something like this. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time that we have struck out in anger without just cause, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For the selfishness which sets us apart and alone, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For falling short of the admonitions of the Spirit, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For losing sight of our unity, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For these and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. When I think of motherhood or mother church, I think of returning to a place of sustenance, a place of nurture, where one feels that they can recharge and renew in safety. A place where you are accepted wholly as you are, from where you can begin again in love. You can be born again if you like, be given birth to once more. We can begin again in love. The Colombian author Gabriel Garcia Marquez wrote in Love in the Time of Cholera. Human beings are not born once and for all on the day their mothers give birth to them, but life obliges them over and over again to give birth to themselves. Not once, not twice, but over and over again we begin again in love, or the opportunity is offered to us. Our lives often take different directions at times. We turn down a new pathway. Sometimes we turn down the same pathway again and again and again. Often we go down blind alleys again and again and again. Often we repeat the same mistakes again and again and again. We do not always learn from the mistakes. So very human. And if we have made those mistakes 1,000 times, we can always begin again in love. We can always return home to a place of acceptance as prodigal children. It brings to mind the rather wonderful poem Autobiography in Five Short Chapters by Portia Nelson. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am hopeless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place. But it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street. We can begin again 1,000 times if we need to. We can turn down a new path, or we can return home to the very beginning. It's okay. It's okay. We can begin again in love. We can return, or we can turn down another street. It's a curious phrase, to turn or to turn again, or even to return. Do you know that to turn or to return was actually the original meaning of the religious word conversion? Conversion is rooted in the Latin word convertere, which meant to turn around, to transform, to begin again in love, if you like, to return or to turn, to change direction. But it's a beginning. It's not the end. I think that's what people get confused with this language about. It's not the end of something, it's the start of something. To turn, to begin again in love. Now, for a long time, I used to think that if a person had been converted, then that was the end of the process. But that's not the truth. I don't see things that way. I don't fall for that delusion no more. Today, when I think of conversion, I think of it as the beginning of something, as the start of a journey. It's an ongoing process, actually. Not a once or perhaps, but a many times in your lifetime experience. You can turn and return. You can turn back. You can turn the other way too. We can begin again in love, even if we've broken our vows 1,000 times, made the same mistake 1,000 times. We can begin again in love. We can turn again. We can return to that place of rebirth. We can be born again in love. We can begin again in love. And herein, I believe, lays the association with Mothering Sunday and this idea of returning to the Mother Church, if you like. And I believe it's the purpose of communities like the ones I serve to be places that welcomes the traveller home to the loving arms of Mother. A place of total acceptance wherever they have been, not merely tolerance. I don't think that's enough, No, a place of acceptance where you can come as you are, exactly as you are in this moment. A place of loving nurture where you can either continue or, if you need to, begin again in love. Even if you've broken your vow 1,000 times, you can begin again in love. Communities like the ones I try to serve, free religious communities, are there to nurture one another's spirit. Our purpose is to nurture that love that is present deep within the souls of every one of us, sometimes very deeply down there. And the purpose is to nurture and develop these qualities in each other. And that's not just the responsibility of our mothers. Everybody has nurturing qualities. We can all help to bring the best out of each other. We can nurture one another's love and nurture the love in ourselves. We can offer one another unconditional love. We say that all are welcome here. This, though, has to be an active quality, and it's nothing that anybody does perfectly. It can't just be words, though. To love each other unconditionally is to love as a mother loves her only child. Easier said than done, though, isn't it? For those of us who have been hurt by those who were supposed to love us, to offer love unconditionally, it's even harder. Some of us will be. Therefore, we can offer that love to others. But we must, in order to do so, we must first become reconciled with our own pain, our own suffering. Again, the purpose, I believe, of such communities is the ones that I serve. We have to come to terms with ourselves in our own lives in order to help one another. Security and protection are nurturing qualities of motherhood, are they not? They are also qualities which you may find in free religious communities too. Things that need to be developed and held, and we need to be held to feel safe to explore in such communities. For us to delve into our souls requires a sense that you will be safe to do so. To allow people to become who they actually are, not just to come as they are, but to become who they are. And that's what I try and develop here. But obviously, I'm not perfect either, and I have my own healing that continues on. I begin again in love myself many times. I've fallen short many times. I've broken my vow who knows how many times. But I can begin again in love too. For communities to flourish, they need to feed one another. It requires each person to not just take from what they find in such communities. They must give from to feed their souls, they must give from their hearts and souls. It requires a listening ear, a loving spirit. The ears of our hearts must be open, our spirits must be wide open. We must listen to one another, and we must listen to the truth in our own hearts and minds too. But there's another vital ingredient that we must never forget: humour. A developed sense of humour is vital, especially if you've fallen short a million times. And isn't that one of the great qualities of motherhood, a sense of humour? Humour helps us to deal with life's trials and tribulations. It helps us to explore those most difficult and testing issues that a spiritually vibrant community always needs to explore. Humour is something Humour is something that grows within, and I think it grows in our communities. And usually there's something to laugh at me at each week. I can be, yeah, especially when I've fallen short again. I've broken my vow for 1,000 times. There's a warmth to humour too. There's a love. It's vital to human flourishing and developing and good health. Remember, the humeurs were those four bodily fluids that marked that we were in good health if those humeurs are in balance. So get the balance right. So on this day set aside to honour mothers, let's remember those who have offered us the unconditional and wholly accepting love of the mother ideal. Those who have offered their unquestioning love to us, even when we've broken our vows 1,000 times. Those who have offered their nurturing heart and encouraged us to begin again in love. Let us also, though, commit to living this way ourselves, to offer this love to all that we meet, to not just tolerate the people we meet as they are, but to love them and to accept them, even if they have broken their vows 1,000 times. Let's offer them the same nurturing hand of love. And let's do so with real humour. Let's all of us begin again in love. Begin again in love. Begin again in love. I invite you to join with me in some words of prayer, really. A prayer for all who mother. Let us pray. We reflect in gratitude this day for all those whose lives have nurtured ours, the life-giving ones who heal with their presence, who listen in sympathy, who give wise advice, but only when asked for it. We are grateful for all those who have mothered us, who have held us gently in times of sorrow, who celebrated with us our triumphs, no matter how small, who noticed when we changed and grew, who praised us for taking risks, who took genuine pride in our success, and who expressed genuine compassion when we did not succeed. On this day that honours mothers, let us honour all mothers, men and women alike, who from somewhere in their being have freely and wholeheartedly given life and sustenance and vision to us. Dear God, Mother, Father of us all, grant us life-giving ways, strength for birthing, and a nurturing spirit, that we may take attentive care of our world, our communities, and those precious beings entrusted to us by biology, or by destiny, or by friendship, fellowship, or fate. Give us the heart of a mother today. Amen. And I'm going to end with some final words of blessing. You know, we need to bless more. And we can all bless. We bless when we give ourselves wholeheartedly to life. So here's Hold On by Nancy Woods. Hold on to what is good, even if it's just a handful of earth. Hold on to what you believe, even if it's a tree which stands by itself. Hold on to what you must do, even if it is a long way from here. Hold on to my hand, even when I'm gone away from you. Hold on to each other and to faith and hope and love. Even just these things will see you through. And may the love of God hold us and sustain us in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, in all that we do. Amen.